Okay,
Thank you.
here we go. Are you staying with us tonight or are you leaving us?
No, I was gonna leave you unless you need something.
Oh,
Paula, do you know if Craig is coming on?
He's supposed to. We sent him the
Okay.
links.
Okay.
I'll shoot him an email as soon as I get off to remind him.
okay.
Sounds good.
Did he?
So we'll do the sign first.
Yep. Did Craig mention what kind of shingle he was putting on?
Well, why don't we wait till Craig gets on?
All right. Give us enough pictures. It was all the joining property owners. I'm still looking at Craig's application.
Well,
so-
why don't we just go over to the other one and then,
Yep, we will.
Yeah, I think she's on, right? The
Yes.
the son applicant.
yes,
Yeah.
and she has assistants there.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Yes.
have very, very
It's
active.
good to have
Hi,
help.
Laura.
Nicholas, you say hi?
Oh, that's cute.
Hi.
Junior partner.
Yes.
So Lauren, welcome
Yes.
to HARB.
Yeah,
Tell
thank
us
you.
about your sign.
I'm sorry?
Tell us about your sign.
Yeah, so it's pretty basic, black and white. It's made, I'm hoping, I haven't ordered it yet, obviously, but I found a company that uses old barn wood to make kind of like a rustic-y sign. So it's just my logo, website, phone number, black and white. It'll be double-sided, standard.
It goes where the existing sign is, correct?
Correct, yeah.
You use the same bracket?
I'm gonna try, yeah. I don't really want to replace that at all. That's work I'm sure my husband's not gonna want to take on. So yeah, I'm thinking I can just use that existing stuff.
Same size sign as well, right? Same size, same.
It's slightly smaller, but the brackets that are on the old sign looks like that I can move them, so it shouldn't be an issue.
So, are there questions from the board?
No, I don't have, oh,
No,
sorry.
is the design on the sign going to be somewhat similar to the picture of what's there now? I mean, as
Yes,
far as colors and fonts and all that stuff?
yes.
Okay, yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
My question is pretty basic, which is, what kind of business are you opening there? What's your style there? What's happening?
Yeah, so it's a beauty bar. We do lash extensions and eyebrows, and I hope to add makeup after COVID because we can't do much with masks.
Okay,
But yeah, just a girly beauty bar.
sounds good. Yeah,
Yeah.
my wife is very excited about it. All right.
Well, do you have any questions? Rita? You good?
Nope, no questions, straightforward.
Do we have any recommendations?
I recommend we approve as submitted.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I
Okay, Lauren, you're approved.
All right.
So, this was sort of interesting at Borough Council meeting last time. Unless someone brought it up, council approved a whole bunch of things without actually bringing up HARB or anything. They just had this consensus kind of approval. Has anybody seen that?
I don't know.
So anyway, so the next Borough Council meeting, this application will come up and they should approve it. So, so whether you want to go ahead and start doing the signs on your own, but
Okay.
as far as HARB goes, you're okay.
And
All
the-
right, great. Thank you guys
Permit-
for your time.
The permit doesn't get released until
thank
after. it's sold.
you.
Right.
When are you hoping to open the business? What date?
I actually opened. I'm operating with the old signage, which has been a nightmare, but it's okay. we're making it work.
Great.
I used to be in another space in Yardley, and we outgrew that space. So here we are. Hopefully things continue to go well.
Okay, well,
Great.
good luck to you. Yes,
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
good
guys.
luck.
Have a good night. Stay warm.
thank you.
All right,
Okay.
bye.
Bye. Oh. and
Harry,
we-
I was at that meeting. Is the meeting last night that you were talking, or the one on Tuesday you were talking about?
Tuesday, yes.
Yeah, that's why I came. I'm really confused about what happened. The consensus were, and is there just if you know, are they going to have a zoning hearing board for that situation with parking, or is that, I was so confused. I still don't know what happened.
The parking issue is separate from HARB. But the Borough Council apparently takes a lot of the agenda items that used to be sort of routine, and they just passed it all by consent. And if any council member wanted to bring up something in particular, or the public wanted to bring something up in particular, they'd raise that issue. So I was waiting to have 19 South Main Street come up on the agenda, and it never came up. They did just the agenda by consent. So like the bill list is automatically approved by consent. HARB is approved by consent. I don't know what else, but did you understand that, Dawn?
Well, I did understand that part, but when President Brio was saying that that he said the vote was specific to HARB, that it didn't have anything to do with the parking, but then the lawyer, the solicitor, said that if it went through, that means the parking went through, and I just don't understand how that could be without going through the zoning board.
I mean, we never approved or disapproved the parking. That's strictly Borough Council and the zoning officer, and the zoning officer should say, hey, it has to go to the zoning hearing board. But he said, the zoning officer said that he approved it with 2 additional spaces. So,
Okay, can we move on?
yeah, we'll get back, we can get back to that after we get through Craig. Hey, Craig.
Hey, Jerry. Hey, Joy.
Hey, Craig.
Gentlemen,
So,
I don't know you, I don't think. Tim,
Hello, Craig.
how you
You know
doing?
Tim, right?
Yep, yeah, I know. How you
Okay,
doing?
so Joe's new to you?
I think so.
Okay, and you know Rita?
No.
She's dark like you.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm not working, but I see you.
So,
Right.
okay, so Craig, tell us about your ambitious project. You have the most detailed drawings I've ever seen for a roof application.
I'm bored. What can I say?
Well done, Craig.
Yeah, no
I
kidding.
don't know. I found a couple of errors in it. Like I think I spelled canal K-N-A-S. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't thinking that. Anyway, the kids said they wanted some of my hand drafted stuff, so I thought I'd draw some of that stuff up since they're familiar with the house. So I thought, I'll just submit that for the drawings.
Well, there it is. So tell us what you're gonna do.
Basically rip off the existing 3-tab shingles because it mostly has fallen all off. I was replacing it at 25% at a time, but trying to find contractors to do that little amount of work was ridiculous. So I just decided to do it all because I have a budget every year to fix the property. And this year came up. So we said we're going to do it. And I think it's a gray slate timberline. We're also going to put the rubberized stuff below it for self-penetrating any nails and replace any damaged wood that's on the house. Will match the existing profile, whatever it is. And the only thing they might do is when they remove the rainwater, the gutter, if they find that there's rotted wood there, they'll replace it and then probably cover it with a metal fascia just to protect it better. Because with that house design, there's really no overhang, so it backs up at the gutter.
You should have been there with the 19 South Main Street application. They had flush gutters with the, anyway, that's another story.
Yes, let's move on.
Anyways.
I actually
Craig,
think
what you
the
like
house
to do
one,
on HARB now that you're retired?
you need help with HARB? I can help you if you need to, but I'm a Lower Makefield resident, I just own in
The
your.
architect doesn't have to be.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna just re-register in New Jersey, not in Pennsylvania.
I don't think anybody cares.
We don't care.
Sure, get me out of the house, no problem. If you need a volunteer, I can be more than helpful.
We'll
sure.
talk to you.
All right.
Okay, so are there any questions from HARB?
Well, the
I
vi-
had one, sorry, Joy.
Go ahead.
the vinyl soffits. That's
There's
what
no vinyl soffits there.
you're talking about, replacing the backboard. Is that,
Because I'm gonna do it with a metal if it's to match the gutter, if
Oh,
it's
yeah.
needs to be capped. It'll be wood underneath, but it'll just be capped with metal, if we have to. I think the wood up there is pretty, like 3-inch thick, so I think we'll be okay. I probably could put a lot of plastic wood to fill in any rotted areas, but I think we'll be okay. But if it's not, I don't want to go through this again. I want to put a metal fascia there if we have to. And that, I guess, would not be quite historic. But it helps protect it. You won't be able to see unless you're real good at looking. I do have a skylight there that I put in 1980. I'm replacing that as well. It's pretty low profile. It has ventilation and light into the darkest part of the house, which is the bathroom. So, I hope that's still okay.
Yeah.
So I see it's you're taking off a 3-tab and putting a dimensional shingle on.
Yeah, I'm putting the timber. We decided to go, initially we are gonna go with the 3-tab, and I said, it looks like a lot of other people doing 3-tab. It's a better unit. And along Canal Street, since it's along the water, as Julie will probably tell you, you get a little bit more mold than you do typically everywhere else, and that they love to just the mold likes to create itself in the seams of the 3-tabs.
Right. Yeah.
So this,
I have no trouble with dimensional. I just was mentioning that's a change up. So, right. So,
yeah, it's more expensive, but like I said, I have a budget, so we're gonna be okay.
mhm.
Any other questions?
No.
Do we have a recommendation?
I recommend we approve as submitted.
Second?
I second it.
Thank
I
you, Rita.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Approved.
Thanks, gang.
Okay,
Or, excuse me,
Craig.
Nice meeting you, Craig. Good luck.
For the, so what happened on 19 South Main Street, I raised the issues that I think I sent everybody to
See you
you.
guys later.
See you, Craig.
Hey, Craig.
Again, if you need help, Jerry, give me a holler.
Oh, I
good
think I
night.
will.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for the help.
So I raised the issues. They said we have the right to, when we get an application, it is approved by the zoning officer and building inspector as applicable. Not everything has a building inspector on it. And so we should expect to see a signature on that application. But the way I phrased it was, if we receive the application that has been approved by the zoning officer. The application that we had wasn't signed.
Mhm.
The second question was, does HARB have access to the decision by the zoning officer? And they said yes. And if we have to, we can go through a right to know, sunshine kind of request. But Dave Bria said, no, you shouldn't have to do that. They should just, anybody in the public should be able to get the decision. But apparently a lot of time the decision is just the zoning officer just signs on the approval and that's it. There's nothing really in writing on how they made the determination. And in the end, I said, what was the decision? And the building or zoning officer came online and he said, well, for parking, the zoning requires it's based upon gross building area. But he said he took into allowances to reduce it down to just needing 2 more parking spaces. So I figured 51 parking spaces, and he reduced it down to 19 or something like that, which is pretty phenomenal, saying that, you know, he was working off a gross building area. So I never asked him how to do it, how he got to that decision. I think it's been made. So anyway,
Jerry, I was told that they took out the staircases.
yeah, when you talk about building, they don't take out staircases.
I
But anyway,
understand that, but I asked that question too. And
okay,
that's what I was told, that they took out the staircases. And I guess the borough attorney just said, going forward, as long as you're doing the same, you know, with every applicant, to the zoning officer, he advised. So, you know, I don't know. They're changing practices, obviously, to accommodate.
if you're a realtor renting, you go by the outside building dimensions.
Well, right.
Unless you have, you know, architecture, you know, when gross means outside building dimensions.
Right.
So for the zoning officer to say, hey, we no longer count stairs, then that should be in the zoning. They should change the zoning to say that. I don't think it's something that the zoning officer can just necessarily just say, hey, I'll just take out stairs.
I agree, but it's, all of this doesn't really, I mean, it doesn't impact us and our decision making. I mean, that's the bottom line.
No, I'm just saying down the road.
I know.
So what I would like to have HARB go along with recommending me as a historic building inspector. Or the chairperson of HARB be the historic building inspector, because right now we don't have one. We have a building inspector, but HARB talks about a historic building inspector.
Right.
And
Which has never been, it's never really been defined either.
I think that's a great idea.
So, and I think that would give the chairperson, so it could be you or Tim or Joe or whoever, you know, a reason to review permits before or applications before they're sent to the full HARB to see if they're complete. Because what happened on 19 was that the detail was so lacking that you could not really ascertain what they were doing. And once it goes to us, we're sort of obligated to review it, you know, with the times clock starts. So I think one of us should be reviewing these applications to make sure that all the information's there that we need.
Well, I addressed this directly. I think I sent the email to everyone that I sent to Paula, and she agreed with me that we received an incomplete application. And so, I hopefully going forward, although there have been issues in the past, hopefully going forward, they will make sure that we're not sent an application that's incomplete. I mean, we didn't have building plans, for goodness sakes, you know,
Right.
and it wasn't signed off. And so, I mean, I guess the bare minimum we all should be doing is checking when we get those copies of the application, is to make sure that it's been signed off. And if not, one of us should fire an email back to them and say, it hasn't been signed off.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
So
that's
we should
reasonable.
I think we should all take on that responsibility going forward, just to keep them, keep things consistent going.
And as
What-
Paula or Patricia was saying, well, we wouldn't get that sign application today because it didn't have the 2 weeks notification to us. And I emailed back and said, some things, we can definitely review almost on the spot.
Right.
So I think
Yeah, we
if
should. Yeah.
the clerk or chair or somebody just says, yes, go ahead, send it on, that would be good. Because we don't want to hold up anybody.
No.
But there's no question, I just want to bring up this point. There's no question that what I've seen in the last couple of years is a consistency of incomplete applications. It isn't just about 19 South Main. It's
Right.
amazing how sloppy I think people bring in their applications. So it's hard for us to see exactly everything that's going on. Look at this Canal Street application, right? It was very complete. it had photographs, it had drawings, it had notes, it had everything that, we would need to make a decision. That is not the typical scenario. And I think
Right.
that
I agree.
we ought to work in some way to improve that so we can do a better job,
Well, so why don't we all, Jerry, I think it's fine to have it centralized with the chair, you at this point, but I think maybe we all should take some responsibility when we get those emails with the application in it. We should all take a quick look at it. I mean, you may go back to it later to look at it in detail, but if you see glaring omissions, we all should be firing off emails to them. And I think they'll get the message.
That's reasonable. And it's nice that Jerry stepped up and
Right.
is assuming the responsibility to be the one ultimately, is going to review the plans in detail, which is good. Jerry, I have one question, if you don't mind. I thought you brought up some great points on 19th South Main that were related to the zoning and the parking. My only issue was that that I wasn't sure that was kind of up to us to make that call. I thought it was a zoning call, but I agree with you 100% that it should be signed off for zoning before we sign off on it for HARB. So I guess my question on this issue, as far as the HARB structural review, is that meant to be sort of like a parallel approval to the zoning?
No.
Or is that meant to be sort of similar to the parking issue where we're just trying to make sure that any internal adjustments have been approved by zoning? I'm trying to decide. I don't know if
No.
HARB is becoming a parallel zoning.
No, Joe, I was overstepping my bounds, and I told Paul.
No. I thought your points were great.
I told Paul, I said, absolutely, it's not up to HARB to be reviewing the zoning officer's decision.
No, I agree. And I agree that as a private citizen, you should have every right to say, I disagree with this zoning decision, and then have the discussion with the zoning officer, and the zoning officer signs off on it or doesn't. My question on this like internal review of plans for historical purposes, like, I don't know, maybe the staircase is an issue like that. Is that one where we're suggesting that HARB should be sort of a partner in approving that, or just making sure that the structural zoning people have signed off on it, like the parking issue was?
Right. No, HARB isn't in that position. We shouldn't be in that position.
Okay.
In a way, I was overstepping my boundary, but when there's something that's glaringly that far off, it needs to be raised.
Sure, I agree with you, and I can't believe that there's anybody involved in zoning or structural engineering in the town that knows more about historical renovations and how they should be done than you do. So I certainly think that you should be an advisor to that decision, and certainly somebody who's tasked with objecting if there's something objectionable that somebody just doesn't realize the impact of. I agree with that 100%.
It's just that HARB is the only place where the zoning is interacted with.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, the zoning officer is totally independent and on his own, and there's no other checks and balances.
Oh, I agree with you. I agree with HARB and specifically you serving in that role as a check and balance on the zoning guys, for sure. Yeah.
But that's not a HARB review. That's more of a personal thing. But I just happen to be on HARB, so I'm getting to see that.
Okay.
Wouldn't the planning commission, don't they work with that part?
They don't review zoning permits.
Oh, I didn't.
Just the zoning officer. And I think Mike Mueller was really good, but I think in the end, he was starting to approve things that were well beyond what was permitted by zoning. I'm not sure, but I think, can anybody back me up on that? I don't know what happened with Mike, but.
No,
There
I'm
was
gonna go back.
another one in between too.
But I think the zoning officer and borough manager and all that have a tendency to just want to appease the applicant. I mean, I raised the issue for the Vault Brewing when they put a 1,000 square foot addition, which required 20 parking spaces, and that just went through. And that parking lot's overtaxed with all the buildings that feed into it anyway, and that just went through. And so it's the same issue.
Right.
But that's not hard. It really isn't. It just happens that we happen to see these things where no one else would. So.
All right. So going forward, I think we all should be mindful of looking at those applications, make sure that there's enough information in them to make a decision, and then flag it if it isn't. And then, I don't have any problem seeing
what
you as the historic
Joy,
inspector.
what I don't want is the clock to start on us because we have 2 weeks to review it. I don't think the clock should start until it's a complete application.
Well, I agree. That's why I'm saying we should, as soon as we get them
Right,
in email, we should review it quickly, at least, at least to make sure there was a signature. I mean, when I was chair, this last time when I was chair, there were a handful of times we didn't have signatures, and I sent it back. I mean, it drives me nuts.
right.
So I just have gotten out of the habit, quite frankly. of-
Joy,
Yes.
Yeah, Rita.
I'm just thinking, what do you think about making just a cover sheet checklist for HARB that walks Paula and the office staff through what needs to be attached and what needs to be signed?
Rita,
Actually, it's on the
So
application.
that when they present it to us,
but it is on the application as
well,
Jerry.
if we had one page,
They've been
yeah,
taking,
I
what-
just could be another solution.
I know. They've just been taking too many shortcuts. I mean, that's essentially what's been happening. For whatever reason, they're busy. I'm not, I don't, I'm not assigning blame. I'm just saying, things have been overlooked and they shouldn't be overlooked going forward. That's all. And so I just think we need to start flagging it. I wouldn't add another piece of paper in a checklist at this point. If we have to later, that's a suggestion we could follow through on, but
So, all right, so I'll send the 2 applications in, approved as noted, and then request that I be appointed the historic building inspector and suggest that Craig could be the architect
Yeah.
for HARB, and then I could be the historic building inspector, which are 2 different positions.
That probably carries a large honorarium as well, I would think, Jerry, right? That job that you're applying for.
yeah, a lot of grief.
Historic, you mean?
Yeah, I'm in favor of that for sure.
I think there should be some follow-up. I think it makes sense, some follow-up on. some
Okay.
proof. Why
So
not?
Craig needs to be sent an application because I don't think I think he was just going along. So I think he needs to be sent an application so he really knows that if he's really wants to commit to this.
I will mention it to Paula to have her send Craig an application,
Yeah,
so. I mean, he's retired now. He's got to do something, so.
I understand that. He needs to be fully aware of what he's signing on to.
All right.
Why would we want to do that?
Hey, come on, great.
Dawn, do you have anything else for us? We have other applications. You could,
You were full. I mean, I have applications in with the borough. Every time I apply for something, they put someone else in the spot.
well, that was just for that.
That commission.
Yeah, right. This is a real job.
But I don't feel it. I mean, I'm not as knowledgeable as all of you. I mean, I love my old house and I'm certainly more than willing to I'm familiar with the codes, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, I can say I want to be on it. I just have to tell them to apply the application to that.
Right.
I don't know if, you,
I mean, we have one person on the HARB that hasn't come in at all for probably almost a year now, probably. I think he said because it's on Zoom and he doesn't do Zoom, but
well, I mean, I didn't like the way that vote also, when they talked about that vote going through and there were only 2 people and he said it's a 7-person committee. I didn't understand the math on that either. That was a little odd, but
well, we're just a recommending body. We don't have any real power. And so we should have a majority of HARB, but it's a majority of those present. So there was 4 of us present.
Yeah, one abstention, right?
Right. I abstained. Joy voted no, and Joe and Rita voted yes.
I think it was
Or
Tim, right?
Tim and Joe voted yes.
Right.
So the 4 made the quorum
Oh,
and
oh, that's, how
2
I do it.
yeses, 1 no, and 1 abstain, so it passed. Does that make sense, Dawn?
Yes, yeah, now it does. I didn't know how the extension worked in
But it
that.
would be nice if we had 6 or 7 people showing up for the HARB and having a full quorum when we vote. So,
Yeah, I mean, if you will have me, I will do it, and certainly, you know, love my old house, and I did start out in architecture school. My career early on was a gazillion years ago in architecture.
Well, it's a council decision, you know.
Oh, okay.
Has
yeah,
nothing to-
right, it's not us.
Oh, okay, so then I
So
probably.
you got to get through council.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Jerry, I
I'll
have
try.
another suggestion that might be interesting, is that my neighbor, next door neighbor, is an architect. He was the architect that worked on the church project, I forget his name right now, but I mean, he's,
Right. Fazio or,
yeah,
No,
no.
oh no, he was that 19. Yeah, but the guy who, for the roof.
Yeah, that's right,
porch roof.
exactly. And he owns a historic house on Main Street that he rents, and I think he's very into historical preservation. He could be a good person to invite to the board. And I don't know how busy he is, but he would be a real compliment, I think. I could certainly reach out to him and see
yeah,
if he
reach out to him.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now, the one thing I am good at is writing, and I certainly had thought about doing like a newsletter, maybe once every 3 months of the, different renovations. I'm writing an article for the renovation of Eli, the Dreyfus Opticians. And he's, documenting it for an architectural magazine. So that I can do is write. And, that I think might be like a positive thing for HARB to just pick out different places and showcase them, and do a PDF sort of thing that can be sent out. That would be part of my contribution. And then, of course, I do know not as much as you guys do about it, but I'll apply to council and we'll see. But I wouldn't want to do it unless you all wanted me to be there.
I mean, you probably have more knowledge about historic architecture than 90% of the people, so.
Oh, from the house raisings and the floods, I definitely do, inside and out.
Yeah.
Inside and out, from trying to raise a 200-ton house, having it start to collapse, trying to raise it again, going through the engineering and the architecture. So, well, I'll put in my application and we'll see if council will do it. In fact, I agreed to do the webinar with them. They're doing on the floods, and just as the person to the poster child of house raising with all the things that happen there.
Dawn, what's your business background? What is your occupation, and like how do you see that segueing into this position?
Well, see, that's just it. My background is I'm the director of the Civil Intelligence Group. My background is actually in intelligence and law enforcement, and but it's an interesting specialty. I specialize in some symbols and any kind of symbolic evidence, and so it definitely has the aesthetic aspect to it and the historical aspect. And I run a business, and I just had to convert my entire business to online. And I have basically I train local, state, and federal law enforcement officers on a number of different things. So again, that's why I was so applicable. It was so much more applicable for the Civil Service Commission. But I have a bachelor's of fine arts, a master's of fine arts, and a doctorate in philosophy. So I have a master's with art history. I mean, I'm definitely educated in, maybe overeducated, but I have the educational background. It's just been applied in a different kind of way. So, but I do love Yardley, and I know every house in town. I walk the dogs twice. I know every house in this town. I know. I just, you know, that's why I'm here. I love the historic district. It's my avocation, historic homes. So,
Yeah, we all
Joy-
care about it. Yeah.
Joey, how many people are we allowed on the board?
Uh,
7?
yeah, I think it's 7. I don't know. I'd have to look at the regs. It's been so long that I've looked at it.
Right.
And we have 5, right? Not counting Lad, right?
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
I'm gonna definitely invite my neighbor and see if he has any interest in this.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, sure. Be a really, it'd be a good technical element for us, that's for sure. So,
do you think we should do that before we pursue Craig, or?
oh no, why not? Why not pursue Craig as well? Absolutely. So,
and I can hold off until you see, if that's what, you know. You
It
feel
sounded like Craig, Jerry, wasn't he talking about being some sort of advisor to the board since he wasn't a town resident, or can you be on the HARB if you live in Jersey? Which it
If
sounded
you're,
like he
no,
was
no,
saying.
he lives in Pennsylvania.
He
He
lives
lives in
Oh.
Morrisville.
Yeah.
Okay.
He has a house in the borough. That's what we just
Okay.
saw.
Does that qualify him?
There
Even
are,
though he doesn't
the architect could live in Lower Makefield. I mean, he could.
Right.
Okay,
There are
great.
certain positions you can fill on the board, not being residents of the borough.
Okay.
And I guess it's a businessman, a realtor, and the architect.
Yeah,
And then the others are supposed to be residents. So
I think so. I'd have to look at it again.
something like that. So, all right.
Anyway,
Well,
I can run.
I'll reach
Yeah.
out to this architect. I mean, he's a Yardley Borough resident, and he also owns a historic house in town. So,
we'll ask him before we pursue Craig more. Why don't you ask him?
Yeah.
And then let us know. And
Yeah.
if he's definitely interested in it, then we could do that. And then otherwise, we'll go after Craig.
okay, all right.
We can twist Craig's arm. We can
Yeah.
make him feel guilty.
All right, I'll do it in the next couple of days. So,
Okay, good.
okay. All right. So, are we wrap? Can I wrap
Yep.
this? Can we?
Yeah, I
Yep.
gotta go.
Okay.
All right. Stay warm, everybody.
Take
Okay.
care.
All right. Good to see
Bye-bye.
everybody. Thank you. All right. Good night.
Night.